Hello gamers, it's SoftKitty99 and today we're in Parkitect, the Taste of Adventure expansion, and we'll be playing another campaign scenario today. In the last episode we did Yucatan Ridge and I ended up having to cram lots and lots of rides in to finally make this one work. This one, I must say, was much more pleasant and much easier and much more fun for me to do because you've got a lot more space and I also got a gold medal. Oh look, so can we get the spaceship to follow us? Takes a little bit of time to come back, the spaceship. There we go. And now it's going to follow us around. I love the spaceship, it's very cool. Right, this scenario is Brimstone Peak, hence volcano. This steampunk themed amusement park saddling... I think this should be straddling, not saddling. This steampunk themed amusement park, straddling an active stratovolcano, struggles to attract visitors due to its dangerous environment. No kidding, who wants to go to an active volcano? Not me! Turn the situation around by expanding this unique theme park into a hot spot for thrill seekers. But let's hope that this volcano doesn't erupt. And you see, you've got a hint there that you want to attract the thrill seekers, so you're going to want to not put too many calm rides in but to put lots of thrill rides and coasters and things in. Scenario: have at least 800 guests in your park. That one was actually the hardest one for me to accomplish because I managed to do all the other things and I still hadn't reached that goal, so I had to do some advertising to just tick it over to 800. Have a price satisfaction rating of at least 75%, have an overall park rating of at least 85%, and your optionals are complete all non-optional goals without building while the game is paused. So you can't pause the game if you want the gold medal. And also complete all non-optional goals, that is 3 here, by the end of August of year 3. And as you can see, I managed the gold medal. I was actually a bit worried about that with the not being able to pause, but I did manage to get it, so I'm really pleased with this. So let me show you the park that I built. And you can see we're at January of year 3 when I got it, and we had to August, so I did really well. I'm really pleased with that, and the overall park rating there's 92 point something%, so I'm really pleased with this one, and I like this place. I actually think this might be a nice location to actually do a build your own park, despite the fact that it's got a volcano in the middle, because it actually gives you quite a lot of scope to do things. Right, so let's zoom out and show you what we've got. So we've actually got an island, which is kind of expected from that. That's as far out as I can zoom. Right, so let me just show you. This is where you come in, so your guests are going to come in at the pier and come through here, and the building at the front, look, is where your goods in receiving depot is as well. So you can't build your staff stuff right next to your goods in depot, so I would definitely recommend putting facilities somewhere on the island so that you've not got to try and build out over the water. So I recommend that. Right, so here's where they come in here, and then you've got a big island, look, so you've got water all the way around the edge, so if you want to add lots more like water stuff, you've got plenty of water to do that. Your problem, of course, is that you've got this big active volcano in the centre, which means that you've got that as the highest spot of the island, and then it sort of drops away at the sides, which actually does make it a little bit difficult for building because lots of it is slopey terrain. But this time you actually can alter the terrain, so you can do terraforming on this one, which you couldn't do on the Yucatan one last time. And as you can see, I've got at least half the island that I've not used. When you first load in, you've just got the pier at the front, and then you've got a path which comes in here and then goes all the way around the island. So the first thing you're going to want to do is cut the path like we've got here, look. First thing you're going to want to do is cut the path off at both ends, and then slowly build outwards, and then keep adding a bit more of the path in as you go, and making sure it cuts off when you get to the end of where you've got your rides already built. So you keep extending the space you're using, and you stop the guests from going all the way around the other half of the island that you've not touched yet. And also when you first start, you've also got this coaster, Caligula's Wrath, and as you can see, it's one of the new spinning coasters. So it's a big layout, and it uses a lot of the space over the volcano, so your thrill seekers are definitely going to love that. it doesn't actually have lots of block breaks on it, which possibly would be a good thing to add, but I just left it as was because, you know me, I'm not that great with coasters, and if I started trying to add in block breaks I had visions of breaking the entire thing, so I just left it going. So the only block break you've got is right at the end, so as one comes in the other one just starts to go out. So let's follow that, shall we? Can we zoom in a little bit and follow it round? So you've got corkscrew right at the beginning just near the station, and you come back through the station and then you start corkscrewing all over the volcano, look, which I imagine your thrill seekers are going to be super happy about. Now these trains are always full, so make sure that once you start the ride is already open, so make sure you click on it and reduce your costs and make sure that it always waits to be completely full, because you don't want to be wasting empty seats on something that's got such a low capacity, because it is your big hallmark ride. It's the centrepiece of the entire park, so you really want to be capitalising on this as much as you can, because this is the thing that's going to get everyone into your park. And then we come back to the end. See, so that it's actually a beautiful coaster. I think it's really cool, and it's a shame we've not got something like this as an actual blueprint, because the new rides don't have blueprints in the game yet, so you're going to have to free build all of those yourselves. And this little station building already comes pre-built when you get the game. Now if we come around the opposite side of that and zoom in just a little bit more, so this is the station building that's already in. So it did say sort of steampunky theme, and I can see that this is kind of steampunky, but this is a lot more like classical architecture to me, this dome structure here and tower. And then they've got this little tunnel coming out of that, and that leads through underneath the where your station is for your ride. No, not underground, hide scenery. See, so you've got your queue for your ride comes in and up and round here. And then the path also goes through to keep coming out to the other side to keep going around the island. So I think that's quite cool. And then right next to it you've got this little like square with the drop tower built into it, look. And they've added a little like tower on top of the drop tower. So I think that's really cool, and that just shows you the sorts of things you can do to add things to rides, to just make it look that little bit different. And that of course kind of ties into this with the colour scheme, so I've tried to keep like this sort of idea going around the park. So this and this are all in when you first start, and so is this. So you've got 3 rides when you first start. So you've got the top spin, it's the top spin, isn't it, but they've called it a convector. So you start with these 3 rides when you start the park, and then everything else is added. See, look, I didn't realise that this drop tower is exactly the same as the one that I added in right at the beginning, because I didn't recognise it as being the same because of the addition up here and the fact that it was dropped down into the square. So we ended up with 2 towers the same, so I just left it when I realised that that's what I'd done. So don't think I'm completely daft. I did end up with 2 exactly identical because I didn't realise. So let's start at the beginning entrance, and I'll show you what I did to the park. So you've got this lovely sort of dome structure, and again this is like what they've added on top of the other rides and things further into the park, so it's all kind of matches. So you come into the park over the little bridge. I've just added a few maps. Right next to the bridge you've got the information kiosk and a set of toilets right here. So there's the entrance to my little set of toilets. I've made this little block for the toilet building, and then I've just dotted that around the park a few times, just copied the same one. And I just added some benches and things around here. And then another one of the new rides, the clockwork ride. So I don't know if you've seen these. It's one of the new rides that's actually in theme parks, and there aren't that many of them around, but the way it turns means there's never any chance that the rides are going to crash, but because they intersect with each other it looks all the time like you're on near misses and you could crash. So I think that adds to the excitement of these types of rides. So I've got this sort of bronze, terracotta, brown, earthy tone colour scheme going on throughout. We did start with a sort of reddish paved path. I've made it a little bit more bright and vibrant from the base path that we started on. And then I've added a few contrast colours here and there. So we've got the crazy paving green for the queues, and then I've got a little bit of white dotted around here and there, things like the toilets and things, just for that added extra bit of variation in the colour and stuff. I've used some of the new plants like the yuccas in the scenery, and then again I always love these same sorts of bushes and things. I think this has become a bit of a theme for my parks. I love this sort of bush theme, so I've gone with that and I've added the yuccas to it. I think it adds a little bit extra to the depth of the thing, and I've had a lot of different sort of reds in this build as well, to kind of tie into the colour scheme we've got. And then directly opposite, of course, you always need a food court right at the beginning of any good park, so I've used the Aztec terracotta themes for this. I kind of picked that up off the paths and the colour schemes that were on the little towers on the other buildings that they always started with. And then down the back I've added my staff facilities. So as you can see, I've conformed a bit to the terrain, so we've got steps leading down for the staff here, so hence we've got 2 storey at the front and 1 storey at the back. So if I drop the terrain, no, scenery, hide scenery, here you can see is where I've added my first staff room, and then a little goods in department and a trash chute for the staff, and then a little path leading up to where you've got the kiosks and things. So I've got shirts, which I did research, and also a first aid room, which also was by research. But these 3 shops started the scenario with these: the sub sandwich, the turkey legs, and the fruit juices. So if you're going to put in food and drink at the beginning, you've got fruit juices, turkey legs and sub sandwiches, and if you want anything else you're going to have to research, apart from the info kiosk of course. So I got shirts later, and I got first aid. And do be aware that I don't know if it follows the same pattern for everybody's research, but if it does, I kept getting weird things. So I got umbrellas, and I got shirts, and I got first aid, and it didn't seem to want to give me more food. And after I'd got all of those 3, I then finally got a vending machine, at which point I just gave up on the shops. I said, look, I'm wasting all my time trying to research shops and I'm not getting food and drink, which was what I wanted. So I just left that in the end. But it was okay, because these 3 shops were enough to keep the visitors happy. So if we come a little bit further, you can see we've got another queue down here for the next ride, which is the turbine, which is one of those big twisty rides where you get thrown high up in the air. Quite low capacity on these rides, but very thrilling. And remember, the scenario said lots of thrill seekers. A paradise for thrill seekers, I think is something like what it said. And then as we twist around this direction, you can view up into the little magic carpet. So that's a calm ride. At the launched drop tower, which unfortunately it does exactly the same as this launch drop tower here, but I didn't realise this one was here when I put this one in, so I just left it anyway, because I think they're both different heights, so I just left it. It also, because they're quite low capacity, it gives them a little bit more choice of where to go, keeps the throughput of the visitors. Next to that we've got the top scan. Got to have those in a thrill seekers park, haven't you? Whee! Whiz whiz whee! And we've got lots of the blobby trees. I love the blobby trees actually. I've got them in a few different shades of the green look, so just for a little bit of contrast. We've got 3 different shades I think here. Or is that 3? 3, maybe 4. 3, yeah, I think 3, maybe 4. We've got blobby trees here and there, just kind of to hide where the backs of things are, to separate things out a little bit here and there. So, food court, turbine, whiz around this direction, because we've got to slowly edge up the terrain. So we go up a little bit here and then up a little bit again here, so we're now flat for the drop tower, and then we come around here for more toilets, and then right past the toilets we've got the flying carpet, which is just raised up a little bit over here above the path and things, so if you're on the ride it makes you feel like you're even higher up, and if you're on the path you can look up to the ride and think, oh look, maybe that'll entice you further in, like the drop tower. And then of course the drop tower, being quite central to an awful lot of other rides, gives you great views out over the other things, so you can see what else you can go and visit on the park. And then coming past the flying carpet we've added a coaster. And this one, using some of these archways along the station for that kind of steampunk themey thing going on, is the Blue Snake jungle pattern. So that's one of the preset, pre-built rides. Did you guys like that? I hope you did. So if I zoom out so you can see the layout a bit better, so you know whether you're interested in this one. So as I said, it's a pre-built. It's the Blue Snake Jungle, because in this scenario we were allowed to use pre-built, and I just wanted something to fit in the gap that we've got here on this little bit of island. So I just looked around the presets for something that would actually fit in the little bit of space we've got. So it's quite a twirly, snaky, knotted sort of view of a little ride. So and again, it's one of the newer sort of coasters for me. I don't think I've used these very often, to be honest. So let's follow it around the loop, shall we? So you come up out of the station. It's got this very intricate sort of twist in the lift hill, so you come up and round, and it's quite fun, I think, is the dangly way it goes, up and round like a little snake, and then you get twisted around. So up you go, down you go, and of course you're kind of out over the water and over the trees, and it just, I think, it's quite interesting in the layout. There we go. So if we come coasters, it's the, here we go, the suspended coaster. So it's not a new ride for the new package, but it's one that I haven't really used in any of the scenarios I've used in the past. So, and then it's the Blue Snake Jungle, which is this one, but without the scenery, of course. So once you take it out of the scenery, it's quite a little twisted knot snake thing. Oh, look, everybody's got their umbrellas. Ah, cute. And if you keep coming up this way, we've then got another dropped out. This one is the Skyfall. So this is the one that tilts you, so you're looking face down to the ground as you drop, which I think has got to be even more scary, hasn't it, than just going up and down. And this, of course, overlooks the top scan, which was already part of the build when we first started. So you come here, you see it all the way up to the top you go, and then it tilts them before you drop them, so that you're looking straight down, face first at the ground when you drop. How long are they going to keep them hanging there before they tilt them? Come on, tilt them! I'd love to see them tilt and drop, but I don't want to keep you waiting forever. Come on, tilt them! Tilt them! Yeah, there they go. And whoa! Whee! Did you enjoy that, guys? I hope you did, even in the rain. As you can see, on most of the rides I've added just this little very simple sort of canopy over the actual ride operator. So it's basically just the arched doorways on all four sides, and then one of these little arched roof sections. So it's very simple, but it just adds a little bit of decor detail to the build, I think. And then I've just very simply used some of these pavilions, the very plain simple ones. If I can find that to show you. So if you go pavilions, it's just this very simple pavilion, and just change the colour to the terracotta so that it all sort of matches in. As you can see, most of the rides have been sort of changed to bronzes, terracottas, and this sort of deep aqua bluey green colour. So again, we've got the bronze here and the terracotta on the support posts. So we've got the green on the queue. These steampunk rotor cog archways look are in that sort of bronzy gold colour to make it a very, very simple station here, because with it being a suspended coaster, I was a little bit unsure as to what to do with the station, and I thought they were talking about steampunk, and then I saw these arches and I thought, oh, let's just add those on. And so I think it's worked out quite nicely, and there were a few of those already on this coaster. Look here on the lift hill, that's where I got the idea of using that on the coaster. So I did lift it as an idea and pop it over here on the coaster that I popped in myself. So if we keep coming this way, further down, just extend the path. See, we're changing terrain heights again here, added in a lot more foliage. And then if we come across here, we've got a little pier for the paddle boats. I mean, the paddle boats are not usually terribly popular, but they're doing quite well here. Look, we've got a little queue. I think we've only got like 4 or 5 paddle boats on that one, so maybe it could have made it a little bit longer because we do have a tiny queue, but it's doing quite well. And if we keep coming a little bit further, we have a log flume. They're going to come down. Let's watch them come down the little hill here. This is a design of log flume that we've used before. It's one of the pre-built. Yay! And then we've just added a couple of rafts with a few crates and things on, just to make barrels, not crates, barrels, Kitty, just to make it look nice. And then a few buoys across the boys, a few buoys and boys. Are buoys and buoys the same thing? These are buoys, aren't they? And if you click on them, look, they go boom. You can actually string a line between them to stop the paddle boats going through, but the paddle boats can't really get through because of the layout anyway. So I've just added these buoys along the edge here to kind of be like, look out, paddle boat people, you don't really want to go this way, it's possibly not a safe thing. So that's what I've done here. Added a load of bulrushes along the edges here just for a little bit more extra decoration. Hidden a few turtles in here and there. Yeah, so which design is this? This is the Maple Mountain, if you're interested in which log flume design that is. The reason I've used this one, the reason I've used this same pattern a few times from the pre-builts is just because it's quite compact, it's quite narrow. If I'd have gone any further out this way, that would have made it a little bit less accessible for the paddle boats, and I would have thought the paddle boat people would be interested in seeing the coaster over here and the log flume over here, so it's nice for them to be able to paddle up and down next to both of those rides rather than cutting them off, which I think would have just made them a little bit, oh, I can't really go very far on my paddle boats. And that is the end of this section here, so if I'd have had to extend any further, of course I would have just built the next ride, then added a little bit more of the path and then cut it off again. So if we whiz all the way back in this direction, back to where we have our top scan and our second launched drop tower, so we're back to the section that we start the campaign build with the top scan, the drop tower and the spinning coaster that was already in the pack as we built it. And I've added just off this little square here, I've added a little, oh no I haven't, this is the way they go, isn't it, for the drop tower? That wasn't me, no, where I've added off is off where the tower is, isn't it? Did I mention that? The access for the drop tower is here, look. So if I do underground, can I say underground? No, that didn't show it. Right, host scenery. It's a little bit hard to see, isn't it? But that's the access under. Okay, come on, show me underground, guys. There you go, underground. There you can see. So the drop tower, you see, is built down into the ground. So that's how that works. But this came already in the game. So if we come past it, so you go, there's the access. In that way is the access to the coaster, but if you come straight this way, this leads you to this glass tunnel out over in this direction. And I've added a few rides this way too. I've added a haunted house, and you can see all the little coffins and the little skeletons and a little fire, some treasure, and it looks like there's a guy coming to hunt for buried treasure and stuff at the graveyard here. Look, 'cause he's got his little tent. And then we've got some of these Aztec skull statue things here, and some of the urns and things. Use all these little bare trees and things just to add a little bit more atmosphere for the haunted house ride, which, yep, quite a few people have just been on our haunted house. Very nice, very nice. And then straight opposite the haunted house we've got the star shape to fling people upside down out over the water. So we've built it like it's out on a pier, so we can add an extra bit of ride here, and if the scenario had gone on much longer, I think I would have thought about perhaps adding an extra water ride. We do not have any more, so I'd have had to research to get more water rides, but we've got lots more water space if we had researched a few more. And we did come with started off the scenario with quite a few of the more thrilling rides, so I put out all of those, and I did research a few more as well. Another toilet block out here, and then the final ride. There's the break again in the path. I was going to build a little bit further out here with the next ride, but I didn't need to because we finished off. And this final one is the G-Lock, which again is quite a big ride, and I would have added a bit more detailing around the sides to hide the support structure, but this was the last one we added in before the scenario finished. And oh look, we've not added any benches and things out here, so if I turn off some of these, is it the, I think it was the where's the clockwork, was it the clockwork? Steampunk, I think it's steam. Is it steampunk? Yeah, no, actually I'm not sure whether it's steampunk or... we haven't got seats, so we want a couple more seats out here, boys and girls. And some trash bins. We haven't done that. See, you can see I hadn't quite finished because everything just finished. So... when we got the scenario completed, I just kind of stopped and wandered off, to be honest. I just left it at that point, which maybe I should have thought about a few benches and things before I wandered off, but I just didn't. I just thought, oh, there we go, we're done. So yeah, let's just add one or two more little lights and things. As you can see, I've changed the lights from the ones that were already in the scenario when we started. There we go. And there we go. And that is my build for Brimstone Peak. And my final entrance fee, I kept my entrance fee and most of my ride fees fairly low, to be honest, because I just wanted to attract more guests. So normally I would have had these ride fees to be a bit bigger. Most of them are quite low, look, except for the coaster, which was already at 11 when I first got it, and I left it at that, but I did make sure to change the budget down to 50%, because when you start it's all at 100, so make sure the rides that are already in, you change the budget and the maintenance intervals, and of course add to wait to full on there and just close them and reopen them right at the very beginning of the scenario to make sure these 3 rides that you start with are all operating in the correct fashion. So that is my build for Brimstone Peaks. Hope it gives you a few ideas. I hope you've enjoyed the tour of my build. Hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. From SoftKitty99, goodbye and happy gaming!